On Wednesday, April 7th, my father died. I couldn't help but think how my relationship with my father had evolved over time. I adored him when I was a little girl. I tried to bring home good grades to win his approval. But as I grew older, my relationship with him inevitably changed, partly because he changed. He gradually lost the energy that got him outside throwing football pass patterns to me and Hugh as we ran around the elm trees in front of our house. More and more, his immediate world seemed to shrink as he lost his father and both brothers in a few short years in the mid-60s. During my high school and college years, our relationship increasingly was defined either by silence, as I searched for something to say to him, or by arguments, which I often provoked, because I knew he would always engage with me over politics and culture. Vietnam, hippies, bra-burning feminists, Nixon. I also understood that even when he erupted at me, he admired my independence and accomplishments, and loved me with all his heart. I also respected my father's willingness to change his views, although he would rarely admit he had. He started out in life inheriting every prejudice imaginable in his working-class Protestant family, against Democrats, Catholics, Jews, and blacks, and anyone else considered outside the tribe. When I got exasperated by these attitudes during our summer visits to Lake Winola, I'd announced to all the Rodhams that I intended to grow up and marry a Catholic Democrat, a fate they considered the worst I could meet. Over time, my father softened and changed, largely because of personal experiences with all kinds of people. When I grew up and fell in love with a Southern Baptist Democrat, my father was bewildered, but he rallied and became one of Bill's strongest supporters. When my parents moved to Little Rock in 1987, they bought a condo next to the one owned by Larry Kerbo, a nurse, and Dr. Dillard Denson, a neurologist. One night, my parents were watching a television show that featured gay characters. When my father expressed his disapproval of homosexuals, my mother said, "What about Dillard and Larry?" "What do you mean?" he asked. So my mother explained to my father that his dear friends and neighbors were a gay couple in a long-lasting, committed relationship. One of my father's last stereotypes fell. Larry and Dillard visited my father in the hospital as he lay in a coma. One night, Larry relieved my mother for a few hours so she could go home and get some rest, and it was Larry who held my father's hand and said goodbye as he died. I am proud to support the bipartisan legislation which we have passed to strengthen our tools against crimes motivated by hate on the basis of a victim's race, ethnic background, religion, gender, sexual orientation, disability, and gender identity. These are crimes not just against an individual, but against a community. And what we have done by moving this legislation forward means that we are taking a stand on behalf of those individuals and communities affected. Hate crimes are an affront to the core values that bind us one to the other in our country, and we should dedicate the resources needed to prosecute these crimes to the fullest extent of the law. I'm very proud of our country, and I think we rightly hold ourselves up as a model for the ideals of equality, tolerance, and mutual understanding. But we cannot rest. We have to continue to fight hate-motivated violence in America. And with today's vote, the Senate is proclaiming loudly that the American people will not tolerate crimes motivated by bigotry and hatred, that we will punish such crimes and the bigotry they represent. I would like to commend Judy and Dennis Shepard for their extraordinary dedication and leadership when it comes to the prosecution of hate crimes. The murder of their son Matthew was a tragic event for a family, but a motivating cause was created. No parent should ever have to bear what the Shepards have borne, but their grace and their grit in going forward is inspirational. The Matthew Shepard Local Law Enforcement Hate Crimes Prevention Act is a step toward honoring their son's memory and everyone who's ever been afflicted by hate-motivated violence and harassment. And I want to commend my colleague, Senator Kennedy, for his longtime leadership on this important matter.
Matthew Shepard Local Law Enforcement Hate Crimes Prevention Act condemns the abhorrent practice of victimizing people and authorizes the Justice Department to help state and local governments investigate and prosecute these appalling offenses, and I want to commend my colleague and friend, Senator Hatch. So today is a good day for the United States Senate, Mr. President. We're doing good work, and it may be at a glacial pace in some of our eyes, but I have faith in our system, and I have the utmost respect for this body, and it's an honor to be part of it, and to especially on a day like today when we make progress on behalf of the values that America stands for. Thank you very much, and I yield the floor.